Thank you.
I have a red one.
Okay,
The red one.
Yeah, it's an HP. It's a touchscreen.
Alright, if you're in the yellow group, go ahead and get your books. Also have your novel notebook out. Make a song. Alright, and the green group. At this point, everybody should go back and have their books with them.
This. Can I start reading?
Hold on a second. You should kind of just be getting yourself organized. Brady, turn around, please. All right, here's the deal. Some of you will be meeting out in the hallway with me. Some of you will be meeting in the carpet with Mr. Yohn. If you're meeting out in the hallway with me, you need to bring your pencil, your book, your novel notebook, as well as a highlighter. Okay? Those of you that are meeting with Mr. Yohn, that's going to be the yellow group. You just need to bring, what, a pencil?
Book in their spiral.
Book in their spiral.
Pencil book spiral.
Okay. So at this point, get your things ready. And if you are blue or green, head out to the hallway. If you are yellow, you can come to the carpet, please. It doesn't matter. Your name is where you were going.
No, I'm yellow.
How's it going? We're going to see the board, so don't have too much background. It is very complicated.
Where does green go? Out there, but I don't know what we bring.
So you guys have your books, your spirals. You're going to need them, but not quite yet. So you can sit them down in front of you. We're going to do a lot of listening. We're going to work together. Since we were really chatty earlier, let's go over. Raise your hand, and I call on you.
I'll be out.
And then you tell me what you want. So, is this everybody? Are we missing anybody? So we have a pretty cool lesson today, I think. He'll find it. That's fine. Got Sydney.
No, I'm
Sydney's not in our group. So today we're going to talk about characters. We're obviously going to get to Brian, but we're going to talk about characters in general. Characters are like the driving force of books or movies, right? Like I'm sure everybody has a favorite character. I like the Grinch. When I watched the Grinch growing up, I was like, he's super funny and mean. He's mean, but he's mean in a funny way. You guys all have your own books or movies. We're also going to look at challenges that those characters face. Okay, challenges in our life and in books kind of define who you are as a person. So that's a really cool part of books. So let's look first at Simba. Who's seen The Lion King? Okay. I think I had one or two people earlier in the day. Remember, let's try to keep voices off. I had one or two people earlier that didn't see Lion King, but they still understood the gist of the story. So we're going to talk about Simba for a little bit. So let's go. And remember, we're talking about challenges that Simba has faced. What was Simba's first challenge?
Simba's the little lion.
Simba's the baby in his baby.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Wasn't that shot? It was already done.
Luke, what was the first
challenge for the whole movie was waking his dad up.
Okay, let's go. What's the big one? What's the one that makes everybody cry in the movie theaters? Right away.
No, his dad died. Luke said it, his dad died. He got stuck in the tree.
Okay.
I died. No. He got stuck. No.
Dad dies. But does anybody remember what he does Does anybody remember what he does right after, immediately after? How does Simba respond? Remember, we're raising your hand. Luke and tell me.
He goes to his dad and says, "Wake up."
Okay, so his dad dies. He's trying to wake him up. Doesn't happen. So what does he do immediately after that? After realizing that?
He jumps into the thorn bushes.
To hide from somebody?
Scar.
Scar.
Hyenas.
He runs away, right? That's when he runs into Timon and Pumbaa. He couldn't return home. He was like really scared. He felt guilty, so he just ran away. Let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to the end of the movie. Scar's in the mix. Scar's taking over the kingdom.
Simba and Scar go dispute. Scar gets a bicycle kicked off a cliff.
What would we say his challenges? Taking back his kingdom. He wants to take back Pride Rock.
The problem was defeating about 3,000 hyenas along with Scar.
Okay, taking back
Who probably has the power of 3,000 and more hyenas.
kingdom. I'm gonna write hyenas here.
He bicycle kicks Scar off a cliff.
Okay, we're still
How does he respond to this now? A bunch of hyenas are up in his house. What does he do? Who remembers? Anybody else besides these three?
Yes, Timon and
He fights him. He goes and fights.
First, he has to answer Timon and Pumbaa for a distraction. Like, he's a big yum yum. You can be anything.
It's like,
So this is the cool part of what we're gonna do today. Is now let's take a step back. Okay, somebody made the movie Lion King for a reason. He had a purpose.
Yeah.
Looking at how Simba changed throughout the movie, what do you think the purpose was? What do you think the author's purpose was,
So,
or
like,
the theme of the story? Growing up could be one short. Absolutely.
believe in yourself.
Growing up,
Believe in yourself.
you have to like face challenges.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I'll call on you. Go ahead, Mike.
You have to face challenges if you want to. Like, he runs away and then he grows up and he has to come back and take back the kingdom and he has friends.
Okay.
Timon and Pumbaa were actually my favorites. They were hilarious.
So yeah, anything to add to that? Wonderful. So now we're gonna switch gears. Okay, now we're gonna start thinking about Brian. I wish we could do all their movie characters all day, but we're gonna switch our minds to Hatchet. So let's think for a second. Let's sit up, please. We're gonna start writing soon. So So this is what we're doing today with Hatchet. We're gonna take evidence from the text, like we did with Simba. Right, we went back to the movie. What happened in the movie? We're gonna start making some of our own ideas that brought away new understanding. So if somebody say, growing up, that's you. That was all you and your new understanding of the Lion King. Right? That the movie never told you this is about growing up, but that's your words. So that's kind of what we're gonna do today with Hatchet. So in your spirals, turn to the next new page and start this little chart. I'm gonna have you guys write today, and we're gonna go together and fill out this chart based on Brian.
Yes. Where's my pencil? Oh no, I didn't bring it.
Believe it or not, guys, this is Hatchet.
What?
This is from like 1987. This is an original Hatchet.
This is something. They're watching trolls out there.
Just a little bit. We did Simba, we did Lion King.
I know they're watching trolls. Because my little sister watched it last night.
Okay,
No, trolls.
let's get back in. Let's get back into it. The first class got distracted by that too, but we're gonna persevere, right? We're gonna get to this.
No, wait, why do they get to watch trolls again?
We talked about Lion King. I thought it was a fair trade.
Yes.
Wait, they're doing what?
Because they get to watch.
Okay.
All right. What was Brian's first challenge? It should stick out right away. How's the movie?
Oh.
Raise your hand and tell me.
He gets in a plane crash and they
Okay.
survive. I disagree.
Why does he get?
I have another one. Because the
Right.
cars. That's fault.
He got in a plane crash because his parents got divorced.
Yes. blame it on Dad.
Yeah, no, blame
No,
it on Mom.
no,
No,
but
blame it on
it
the
literally
secret.
says that in the book. Brian literally says to himself many, many times, like, I wouldn't be here if my parents hadn't have gotten
Okay.
first.
But what actually happened with
Oh,
Lee?
they had a heart attack.
Who had it?
Pilot had a heart attack.
Again, let's try to. I know you guys are excited. And it's awesome. But raise your hand and I'm going to call you. I want to hear from everybody. Brian, pilot heart attack,
Pilot heart attack.
and I'm going to put crash. Now, I bet some of you guys wouldn't be able to tell me exactly how Brian responds. I'd be willing to bet, but I'm going to hear from two people. Go ahead. One first.
So Brian, he tries to like wake up the pilot, and he won't
Okay,
wake up.
I like that.
He's very smart. He like I forgot. He uses that walking stick. Well, he starts like
The
flying
mic.
plane like how.
Let's go back to the text. I'm in chapter 2, right at the very beginning of chapter 2. If you guys want to follow along with me, you can. You had two great ideas, but let's go back and let's make sure we know what we're doing. We're going to recap, and you're going to see that in a little bit. Caroline. Good question, though. Beginning in chapter 2. This is right after the pilot has a heart attack. For a time, chapter 2, the very first line. For a time. I'm going to read, you guys listen. I'm going to ask you to read later. For a time that he could not understand, Brian could do nothing. Even after his mind began working and he could see what had happened, he could do nothing. It was as if his hands and arms were lead. So what did he do immediately after the pilot had a heart attack?
He just thinking about like, and if not that, then he tries to fly the plane.
Oh.
From that text evidence, from what I just read you, what did he do?
Immediately after,
He takes it all in.
Okay, thinking. There's a word that it says. What does he actually do? I mean, this might be kind of a trick question.
He did not.
Did nothing,
Yeah.
right? It says that. For a time that he couldn't understand, Brian could do nothing. Right, so we got to take it out of the book. Turn to the next page, and I think this is what Michael was getting at. He stretched one hand toward the pilot, saw his fingers were trembling, and touched the pilot on the chest. He did not know what to do. He knew there were procedures that you could do mouth-to-mouth on victims of heart attacks and push their chests, CPR. But he did not know how to do it. In any case, could not do it with the pilot, who was sitting up in his seat, still strapped in with his seatbelt. So he touched the pilot with his tips of his fingers, touched him on the chest, and could feel nothing. No heartbeat, no rise and fall of breathing, which meant that the pilot was almost certainly dead. Please, Brian said, but did not know what or who to ask. Please. So, what can we say? What can we say from that paragraph? What was he doing?
He asked the pilot
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Caroline.
He was like trying to figure out a way to get him breathing
Thinking.
alive again.
Okay. Maybe panic. He's like, please, please. I'm gonna put panic on that thing too. I think we would all panic as well if we were in a situation. That's the first challenge we're gonna look at. Would you guys agree that characters changed throughout the story?
Yeah.
Simba
Yes.
changed. Whatever the trolls, I'm sure the trolls changed throughout the story.
oh, especially Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
Let's think of it. Let's think of another.
No way.
We're thinking about Hatchet. What was another big challenge down the road? Not right after this book, but once he's in the woods.
And Grinch sing.
What was a big challenge for him? Brian. Back to Brian.
Like he didn't have shelter or anything. Yes,
He
he
didn't have
besides his
shelter.
hatchet.
Well,
He taped it.
What's another one?
Fire.
Fire. We're gonna get there. That's gonna be the third one.
There's supplies.
he's in the woods. Like, he fell into a lake. He has nothing except berries.
And that,
What about the berries?
Berries,
they were poisonous berries.
they
No,
weren't
they were not
poisonous. He ate too much.
No.
They were poisonous.
They weren't poisonous, but they were like not good for you.
No, the birds were eating.
We're all gonna discuss this in a second.
Just never eat berries that are in the forest.
So if you go back and actually read the text, just so we're gonna have three different ones. Just so you know, we're talking about Brian.
Oh yeah.
I know he's the only one in
So
the-
it's nothing, thinking, panic. Is that all for one?
That's all for after the pilot.
He's doing different colors. Okay, that's all for Brian number 1. Brian number 1. And then
So the challenge that we should talk about, we're going to read about, I'm going to reread for you guys. He's hungry, right? He's super hungry, starving. He finds these berries, stuffs them all in his mouth. He gets like super sick, right?
yeah, it's not very smart.
So put hunger, very sick. And all of the troubles that come with sick, you guys can fill in the blanks with that. I'm just going to write sick. And now it goes into a little bit more detail. So this is actually chapter 7. If you guys want to fast forward to chapter 7, I don't know exactly what page it is on for you, because again, I have the original book. If you can find chapter 7 a couple pages in, probably 2 or 3 pages in. If you can't find it, that's fine. Well, I'm gonna pick out a certain passage. If you can't find it, that's fine. A couple pages in.
What's the sentence?
And he was, at the moment, almost overcome with self-pity. He was dirty and starving and bitten. This is a couple pages in chapter 7. If you can't find it, it starts with "and he was." If you can't find it, just listen. And he was, at the moment, almost overcome with self-pity. He was dirty and starving and bitten and hurt and lonely and ugly and afraid and so completely miserable that it was like being in a pit, a dark, deep pit, with no way out. He sat back on the bank and fought crying. Then he let it come and cry for perhaps 3 to 4 minutes, long tears, self-pity tears, wasted tears. So he's hungry, he vomited, he kind of slept, woke up with more bug bites on his face. What did he do right after that? How did he respond? Somebody else was
I cried.
He cried.
Luke. Oh, so you
You
were
just
after
listen.
that happened.
No, so from that passage, right after he threw up, woke up, what did he do?
Oh, he cried. He's sad.
Cried. Right? That's
Page
direct.
70.
Direct.
70.
So I think we might have the same page actually. Is that at the top of page 70, Luke? Is that at the top of page 70?
Well, that's
It just
Luke
says
has your book.
The top of mine says ugly. Very.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, that was mine. Go turn the page to the next side on page 72. He turned back. Can everybody find he turned back? In my book, it's about halfway down. He turned back and set up off.
Mine says he turned.
He turned. Just listen to me if you can't find it.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Listen, we're going to take away from this text evidence and find out what he's actually doing immediately after. Again, he's still hungry. He's still looking for food. He turned back and set up off the side of the lake, heading for the gut cherry bushes, his windbreaker bag in his hand. Things were bad, he thought, but maybe not that bad. Maybe he could find some better berries. When he came to the gut cherry bushes, he paused. The branches were empty of birds, but still had many berries. And some of those that had been merely red yesterday, dark maroon to black, much riper. Maybe he should stay and pick them to save them. The explosion in the night was still much in his memory, and he decided to go on. Gut cherries were food, but tricky to eat. He needed something better. Another 100 yards up the shore was a place where the wind had torn another path. These must have been fierce winds, he thought, to tear places up like this, as they had the path he had found with the plane when he crashed. Here, the trees were not all the way down, but twisted, and snapped off halfway up the ground, so their tops were all down and rotten and gone, leaving the snags poking into the sky like broken teeth. It made for tons of dead and dry wood, and he wished once more he could get a fire going. It also made a kind of clearing. With the tops of the trees gone, the sun could get down to the ground, and it was filled with small thorny bushes that were covered with berries. Raspberries. So what can we say about how he responded? So again, this was just a page after he was crying. What did he do? kept looking. The next one we're going to go to, we mentioned, the next challenge we're going to go to, we've already mentioned. It's kind of a big one. Someone earlier said it took like 3 chapters for it to happen. Fire. Okay. I want you guys to go into chapter 9. The beginning of chapter 9 starts like this. Brian found it was a long way from sparks to fire. I want you to skim through the next couple pages in chapter 9 and find some text evidence, some passages of what he does to try to make that fire. See if we can find anything we can pull out. Alright, you guys can skim through. You guys can look through your spirals. I know you have a lot of notes in there from each chapter. If you want to go back into your spiral and find some evidence from chapter 9. His challenge was starting a fire. I'll write that down. Purple. I know this challenge is a couple chapters long, but let's find something from chapter 9. I'll give you another couple more minutes to think. Find something. If you have something, hold on to it. Well, if you find out what you want to share, just hold on to it for a little bit. I think we've all finished chapter 9. I skim through it. I don't have to read the whole thing. Skim events, pick something out. Guys, 20, 30 more seconds. Very eager. What can we, maybe you want to read those sentences or just kind of share what you read, kind of pulling out to how he responded to making fire. He needed to make fire. He was close. If you guys look on page 9, it says close. He was close. Carol.
So, like how he tries to make fire?
Sure. Pull something out of there.
Brought some dry crafting, chopped sparks into it, watched it die, tried to swamp twigs, break them in little pieces, but it was worse than crafts, then he tried to come too.
How can I sum that up? I have something in mind, but how can we sum that up?
He had to keep trying different things to start the fire.
All right, trial and error. He was trying a whole bunch of different things that weren't working. Good. I like it. Anything else? He needed fire. He was close. I've got something.
I do.
Go ahead.
It says he thought back to school, and he was like, what makes a fire? What makes a fire? And he thought back, and he was like, did the teacher ever stand up and say, this is what makes a fire? But then he thought, like, he needed hydrogen, he needed oxygen, he needed carbon, he needed all that.
Okay. Is this familiar to everybody? Does this make sense? Do we agree?
Yeah.
So how can we say that he was making plan, memory,
Like, he was
visualizing? Okay. Thank you. Visualize. I think he was making a plan too, right? He's like, it needs wood, it needs oxygen, is what he gets to. It needs air. Kind of making that plan. Then finally, what happens in chapter 9?
makes it.
And then when he ran out of breath and paused to inhale, the red ball suddenly burst into fire. You know, I've got fire. I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. So success. Okay, now again is the big step that we need to take. We took out text evidence to start to make our own ideas, put it in your own words. Now the new understanding. Let's take a step back and look how Brian has responded to challenges throughout the first 12 chapters. Right, we've only gone through the first 12 chapters. In fact, each of these challenges are from. I think this is chapter 2, 7, and 9. So has he changed? What's Gary Paulson's purpose here? Why is he writing Brian to be this way? What can we come up with? What are you guys taking away from this so far? Just in regards to Brian's character. Leah.
I think that he does change, and he kind of started realizing that nothing's going to come easy, and he really has to work.
Some of that work might be mental, right? Because I take it back a lot. Take it back to science classes, you know.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. Luke, anything? You know, what's happening with Brian here?
You guys can come and organize around.
Okay. You think Brian's changed at all throughout? If you look at, he did nothing. He was panicking in the plane. So he was crying. And I think in chapter 9, he finally was kind of like, I need fire. What can I do to do it? And he actually did. Right. Okay. How do we put that up? Can we put that in there? Do things, try new things, never give up. I'm going to put persistence. Like that. So you guys should all have this in your resilience, persistence. Oh, absolutely. So for the rest of this week, and I think maybe even into Monday and Tuesday, you guys, this week, the chapters. You guys are going to be doing something similar. You guys are going to be looking at Brian's challenges, how he overcomes them. So I want you guys to keep in mind, how is he changing as a person throughout the story? Right, we've had some good ideas here. It's going to keep building. The story's not over yet, right? We still have, I think, half the story to see what's next. We're almost done. Almost there. Good job. You guys go back to your seats.
Oh, come on. Now you're